Onepu, a sleepy settlement nestled between Te Teko and Kawerau. Not a lot happens here. Not many people even know it exists. But all that changed this time last year.
At around 10:45 a.m. today, 3 shots were heard by police staff.
After a police plane flying over the area on a cannabis clearing operation was allegedly shot at, the Armed Defenders Squad was called in. Within the space of hours, 4 policemen would be injured, and 28-year-old Rhys Warren would be left facing a lengthy prison sentence.
I was scared, I was frightened, and my life was threatened. I thought I was going to die.
Rhys testified in court that the cannabis wasn't on his property, and he hadn't shot at the plane. The only reason police had surrounded the Pāho homestead was because Rhys's brother William was considered a potential suspect. William wasn't in the house that day, but Rhys was. We're about 1 kilometre away from the house. This is where police massed on the day. Remember, they were here because they believed that shots were fired near a cannabis operation, and it was here the decision was made to go in armed. Rhys Warren says he was asleep in the house after a long night training his pig dog. He says he was unaware of the police operation in the area, or that the AOS officers were staking out his home.
So they break the door down, the door flings open.
And at this point, where's your son? Where's Rhys?
That's his bedroom. And this would have been the safest space that he was knew, because he was away from the windows, because he woke to smashing windows and a loudspeaker. He thought he was dreaming.
But it was no dream. Rhys's mum, Te Araroa, says his first reaction to the chaos was to grab the gun from under his dad's bed to protect himself. And what followed would change many lives forever. The whānau can't understand why tear gas or police dogs weren't used to clear the house. Instead, 6 armed officers stormed the family homestead. The police say Rhys fired the first shot. It's now a crime scene, and the evidence is everywhere. On the walls, in the furniture, even in the bedding.
You see how they came through the room? Yeah, not only this cupboard, it's the next cupboard next to it.
So where was your son when these shots are being fired?
We think that he was down here, and it was the towels that saved him. So there's all our towels in there. And if anything came through from there, and if any came that low, he would have been saved by those. But he was definitely flat on the ground, otherwise he would have been killed. There was holes all right along here into my bedroom. Holes
Te Araroa and Rhys's dad had left the home that morning for work. She couldn't have imagined what would be taking place just hours later.
This is our bathroom. They've had to replace 3 panels in here. That panel, 1, 2, 3, and I put the stickers up, and they definitely came on an angle and down, moving down ways, because it splattered all there. The bullets also came through into the other cupboard next door.
Looks like your son, Rhys, was lucky.
He was very lucky, yeah. We think that he had a korowai on him, and he was meant to live to tell the story.
From the time police surrounded their property, Te Araroa says it took more than 3 hours before she or her husband were contacted. She says it breaks her heart wondering what difference it might have made if they'd been contacted earlier.
I thought, why didn't they come and talk to us before this happened? If they had rung us earlier, Bodge and I would have come down here to get Rhys out of the house. It didn't have to happen. The police should have got us here and the family.
It's important to note that Rhys was never charged with any of the alleged crimes that led to the siege, and this was what his defence was based on.
Rhys Warren hadn't done anything. He hadn't shot at the police helicopter. The cannabis wasn't his. In fact, the only thing Rhys was guilty of was sleeping in.
As armed police entered her home, Te Araroa was stranded here with other whānau at a police roadblock. Just 2 kilometres away, but completely helpless.
One policeman in particular, I felt he's got a real hard face looking cop, and I tried to say something and it was like, get out of my way. And he hooked up his guns and everything and just carried on down there. And at that moment, I thought, they're going to shoot my son.
Frightening.
So why didn't Rhys simply surrender peacefully once the AOS entered his house? According to Rhys's friend Jesse, he feared for his life.
There's either 2 things you do, and it's fight or flight. But backed into a corner, well, you don't have an option to use the flight option. So, well, it was fight. And it was not fighting the fact that he wanted to hurt or kill anybody. It was fighting that he had to preserve his own life. We both believe that the police would have killed him. They would have. They would have gone in there and shot him.
Rhys's first shot struck the lead officer's rifle scope, sending shrapnel into him and the face of another officer, splitting his skull bone, causing hemorrhaging and bruising to his brain. His second shot struck the door frame and the lower leg of another officer. A 4th officer was shot in the hand, 35 metres behind the house, although Rhys maintains he didn't fire that bullet.
If you were in his shoes and you saw the police smashing down your windows, smashing in the back door, running in the house with guns, dressed up in black, and you're still half asleep.
He was scared.
Of course he was scared. But the prosecutor made out that Rhys wasn't scared. He was waiting for them to ambush them.
You don't believe that at all?
Hell no. Why would he wait in his nanny's house to ambush them?
It should have been handled differently.
Of course. They made a big mistake. They shouldn't have come in. They should have made sure to contact the family.
Following the shootout, the police retreated, leaving Rhys holed up in the house. After a flurry of violence, now came the waiting. Coming up next, we examine the aftermath of the 22-hour standoff and question the police handling of the siege.
The whole thing was managed extremely well, and the outcome speaks for itself.
Rhys had only been out of prison for 18 months, where he served a 4-year sentence for grievous bodily harm. Now he was in trouble again. His worried whānau were sending him messages of support.
Rhys, are you all right? Hey, what's going on? You just stay calm. Don't do anything else. Just stay put, don't move. Okay, we all love you. Are you all right? And then somebody else will text you, you are my favourite cousin.
The whānau knew they couldn't change what had happened, but were determined to bring Rhys out alive. They asked for Inspector Warwick Morehu, a senior Māori police officer they trusted, to negotiate Rhys's surrender.
Everyone wants to come to a real peaceful end, eh?
Yeah, I didn't want any of this to happen, eh?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because I know I'm in the shit either way.
Yeah, I know where it's not a good looking picture at the moment, but we don't want it to look worse. We don't want it to get worse, boy.
There's honesty and empathy in this conversation. A connection Rhys's whānau have no doubt saved his life.
So I'll be straight up with you there, mate. It's easy for me to say here is that don't be scared, but I'm going to say it. Don't be scared, boy.
No,
Don't be
I'm
scared.
not.
So
I'm not.
these fellas can get out safely, eh?
Yeah, I didn't even want to do this shit anyway.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know.
I was on that side of the road and everybody was lined up when he came out. It was a great relief that he didn't get killed by police shooting. Great relief.
The whole thing was managed extremely well, and the outcome speaks for itself.
What it did say, loud and clear, was that Warwick Morehu should have been brought in at the start of the siege, not at the end. Former police officer Steve Elers says the shootout never needed to happen.
It would have been good if we had Māori police perhaps engaging with the whānau and going, hey, he's playing up, is there a problem, you know, and then sorting it out in a Māori way rather than having to kick down doors and bring out guns.
Scars from the Tūhoi raids are still etched in the minds of many Māori from the area. And mistrust between these communities and the police still lingers. Some say the police still haven't learned from their actions 10 years ago.
It could have been resolved earlier by involving Māori iwi liaison officers. In fact, it could have been, take the case of Tamaiti with the Ruatoki raids. You know, he said they didn't have to come through storming with their guns and their masks. They could have just rung him up or knocked on the door and he would have obliged. So I think this mentality of, you know, go in, guns blazing, sure there's a time and place for it, but if we can get to those situations before it gets to that extent, it's better for all parties.
Those 46 shots from those 2 AOS officers sounded like hundreds to me. I was tired, I was caught by surprise, I was scared, I was frightened, and my life was threatened. I thought I was going to die.
With a mistrust of police and the legal system, and his belief in Māori sovereignty, Rhys defended himself in court. At one point, cross-examining the officer he was alleged to have shot.
I hope you recovered well from your injuries.
Jesse acted as Rhys's legal support, but becoming lawyers overnight and reading through all the documents to prepare for court each day was tough for the pair.
We were trying to prove in the court there that Rhys did not fire any guns at any planes, and the cannabis was not on Rhys's property, and that was well established in the court. There is no proof, so the reasons to why they come into the house is still unclear. And every time we were trying to pull that apart, Justice Brewer would shut us down and tell us to talk about the incident inside the house, which is unfair, because Rhys was trying to paint the picture that they had come into the house unlawfully.
What Rhys did get was an admission that using a police dog for the initial entry might have been a safer option than the 6 armed officers.
I'm going to get locked up for a long time away from my loved ones for crimes I did not intend to do.
Throughout the trial, Rhys never denied firing his weapon, but says it was an act of self-defence. The jury disagreed. He was convicted of attempted murder and now awaits sentencing. Following on from their ordeal inside and out of the courtroom, Rhys's whānau don't hold out much hope for sentencing.
14 years is maximum for shooting at a policeman and attempted murder, 14 years. But you know what? We're prepared.
As Te Araroa tries to make sense of all of this, she always comes back to the same question. Why didn't the police ring the whānau first?
It does make me very sad. In fact, sometimes I wake up in the mornings and I can't go back to sleep because I'm thinking about how is my son? Is he okay? The most frustrating part for us is that it didn't have to happen. That is the main thing. It did not have to happen.